Hey, Mike here from Showboys. We're excited to bring you Showboys Gaming, a YouTube channel created for you to enjoy our exclusive gaming content. Anything from live streams to gaming videos will be found here. Go subscribe now so you don't miss out on any Showboys gaming content.
Hi, I'm Becca.
And I'm Mike.
And we're the Courtneys.
We're the hosts of a new marriage and relationship centered podcast called Couple Conversations. We're not here to give marriage or relationship advice, but instead we're just going to have some honest and thought-provoking conversations about our relationship.
After 10 years of marriage and the chaos of parenting, business ownership, and being content creators, we thought it was important to focus on dating each other and keep the spark alive in our marriage so when we're old and wrinkly, we still enjoy each other's company.
Each week we'll be going through a series of questions to have honest conversations about our relationship, as well as occasionally be joined by other couples to hear their stories and advice. We just want to share the things that we've learned along our journey and remind you all to continue to date your spouse.
So join us every other Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning October 8th, and join the conversation.
Hey, Nick from Showboys here, and I want to invite you to become a member of the Showboys Discord. Our Discord is the one-stop shop for all things Showboys, from announcements to fun conversations, and of course, memes. Come get to know the Showboys staff and our growing community of pop culture fanatics. We have something for just about anyone.
Hey, Mike from Showboys here, and I wanted to let you know about the Showboys merch shop. Go check out our classic collection featuring our classic Showboys logo. You'll find a variety of products ranging from phone cases to tumblers and coffee mugs, and of course, t-shirts and hoodies. Head over to linktr.ee/showboyspodcast for the link to the shop. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the Showboys merch shop, help support the podcast, and grab yourself some Showboys swag.
Hi, my name is Siv, and I'm a proud partner of the Showboys stream team. I'm what you call a variety streamer. What that means is I play a bunch of different styles of games. From platformers and shooters, to fighters and survival horror. We rarely play the same games twice, and it's normally a game I don't know anything about. What this means for you is fresh and interesting content, live on the regular. And if you're the kind of person who prefers to watch at their leisure, we have a YouTube channel where we upload content daily. I mean, with so many options, why haven't you joined the civilization yet?
What's up, guys? Chad from Showboys. Just wanted to remind you that we have officially launched our Patreon. Head over to Patreon and check out the exclusive content offered for each tier. From the ability to recommend a topic for the show, exclusive Patreon-only episodes, the chance to appear on an episode as a guest, and much more. With tiers starting at only $1 a month, you can help support our growing community and help us continue to bring our amazing content directly to your lovely little ears.
Welcome to the Showboys podcast. I'm Nick, and with me tonight is Jordan. Jordan, thanks for being here.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited.
Boom. There we go. We are diving in to Peacemaker, the second half. Part two, if you will. If we're Netflix, that would be released in 2 volumes, but um, got weekly episodes. And the last time we had part one, we were on the first 4 episodes, and now we have since seen these second 4 episodes, with the finale just being released today. So I finished that like a half hour ago, and it was pretty crazy. Um,
Did you like it?
the finale wasn't, I don't think, the strongest episode of the series, but it was
Agreed.
good. It was
Yeah.
good. It definitely just kind of like wrapped things up and threw an Easter egg in there. And I like some other episodes more, though, like did more for the story. This was really just kind of like, if you were to describe like, here's the scene and the setting, there's really only like one scene setting going on here, and then
Right.
the ending tidbits.
It's like the ending battle of a movie, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of just right there.
the final battle. Did you like it?
I did. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't say it's my favorite episode of the entire series, but man, it's obviously some things happen that tie it to everything else, and that's obviously exciting for me.
Yeah.
And I think that we were talking, like, by the end of it, we were saying it's almost like that they wrapped it up enough in case there wasn't a second season, but they,
Right.
it was closed off enough for that, just in case it wasn't going to happen. But there was still some left to carry on.
Yeah, for sure. Like, they did a healthy amount of wrap up, but then they didn't completely close it off. So
Right.
I like to think there's a second season, but we'll
It's
get
announced,
into that.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, it did?
It's officially announced. Yeah, it was like yesterday, I think it came out. It was officially announced.
I've been staying away from news, staying out of it. I let it come to me here. This is where I hear all the news.
That's good.
No, cool. Well, before we get into it, obviously, thank you everybody for being here. Chad and Mike are not with us this evening, but replacing them is the bodacious and lovely Jordan. Of course, I'm here, though I like to take nights off too. Next week,
I prefer voluptuous, but
that was the word I was looking for. I knew I was. Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, yeah, never mind. I'll just go with that. But next week, Mike will be the only showboy on the show, as he has 2 special guests, coming on to talk all about Pokemon. I call it Icarus, and he laughs at me, but it's definitely Icarus, I think. But they're going to be talking all about that game on the Nintendo Switch. They have been playing it a lot. He has been loving it. So I know he's excited to talk for a full 4 hours about that with some other deep in the weeds Pokemoners. One of them being Peace Love Ames, which is a recent addition to our stream team. Go check out her channel. Her channel is on our channel. And she's been streaming that nonstop since it came out. So definitely check that out. Obviously, go download and purchase Glow Home. That's a fun game. Support underfunded scientists. Scientists. I made that plural, so there's multiple.
All of them.
All of the underfunded scientists.
That's funny.
And then, of course, Biosiv. Go check him out. He's been cruising through some games. He's been doing a Sifu or Saifu, however you want to say that. But that game looks 10 times better than I thought it was going to be. I just saw like previews of it from like late last year. That game looks crazy from what Chad and Bio have been playing. So
I haven't looked at it. I'm gonna check it out.
I think you would like it a lot. It's cool.
Yeah?
It's the basic premises, and it's really cool concept is it's a like a martial arts game, and you fight more like kind of like martial arts street fighting, and you just fight your way through, like, it looks like there's some crime going on, just like different like rings of organization. You just fight your way through it. But every time you die or are defeated, everything you've done that far stays, but you age and you get older. And obviously I think as you get older, you have options and things change, your stats change, get different abilities. But I think eventually like you die, and obviously you lose the game at that point. But you could die a bunch on a hard battle, age go from 20 to like 50, and obviously have a shorter runway to finish the game. But maybe everything else is easy to you. I just think it's a really cool concept. It's an interesting game.
That must be why Chad mentioned Iron Fist in our group chat.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. He's in a fist fighting mood these days.
I feel like I'm like higher than you. I know we're like not in the same place, but I feel like I'm.
Are you above me, Jordan? You're actually closer. That's the big thing. No, you're simply closer. There you go. Getting a little better.
Yeah.
You scoot back. I'll just scoot back further.
I think. I think lower is helping a little bit. That's a little
there
better,
you go.
right?
You're
okay.
a little bit more centered in frame there. You're not just towering over
the computer desk.
Yeah,
sitting my head on the computer desk talking to you now.
Just eyes over the fence. Yeah. It'd be a good time to pick a fight with Chad though, because like he's been playing a fighting martial arts game, so he's probably ready to scrap with someone over a topic. But yeah, I would say let's get into it. Probably just loosely recap kind of what happened since like episode 5, 6, and 7. And we can save like 8 for the big portion here, because that's the freshest and maybe the most important. But so much cool things happen along the way, and I think the second half of the series has been my favorite. Definitely.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of it, you really started seeing all the characters come to light, which obviously that's how these normally work. But everything with Augie, his father, coming full circle with what he's doing as the White Dragon. Everything is the first half of the season was amazing. Look, when this show first came out, I thought I was going to like it, even when they announced it.
You thought you weren't going to like it?
I thought I was not going to like it at all. No,
right.
I wasn't even a huge fan of the way they used him in Suicide Squad. Honestly, I mean, that was a big Rick Flag character. So
yeah,
it's it's kind of a spoiler, but you should definitely check it out. And it's going back to watch it. I feel like having the character fleshed out like this, it's a little bit. I got to go back and rewatch it. I bet I'll like him more.
Yeah. I'll probably definitely have a different take on it.
It's probably their main objective, obviously. But this show did a lot of interesting things. Like they were able to, I know I always joke about the woke stuff. The show has it, but they did it in a very unique manner. They did it in an essence of almost like promoting tolerance from both sides. One side, being like just what your average idea of like what woke, like a woke person would talk about, right? Versus someone who's not exactly educated on what makes a woke person tick. And I don't want to say woke people as in like as a way to irritate someone who might be woke, but
hey, I've been woke since like 2010. Everyone's just on my bandwagon.
That's true.
But no, I know what you're saying though, because and I think I kind of figured it out, especially with this last episode. They really kind of drove the concept home. Is they explore both, right? If there were two parties or multiple factions, they explore all of that. They kind of give everyone their time to flesh out their purpose. Obviously, some people's purpose, like in this show, is a lot worse than other people's. But at the end of the day, the mission isn't compromised by any of the wokeness or people's perspectives. Like at the end of the day, like Peacemaker and everyone still does their judgment call, and they're like, yeah, that's cool, but guess what? It just happens right now. You're on the wrong side. You're gonna die.
Right.
I think that's what it does well.
I can give you a great example of, I think it was the first episode that did this actually. When Peacemaker noticed that she was wearing a ring, it's like, oh, you're hubbed up. And she's like, I'm married. There wasn't like a snap saying, no, I have a wife and you're a jerk for just assuming that it's a husband. She was super calm about it. She's like, yeah, I'm married, because she just knows the perception is normally the one way. It's not worth creating the friction over. So I thought it was really cool. Even if she did correct him in that moment, like in a simple way, like they portrayed these characters in a way that just promoted a good sense of tolerance. I think that's a standout point to this whole show that I don't think a lot of people look at.
Yeah, and I mean, even in that too, like she didn't, but the point is, like you're making, is like she didn't need to do it any other way other than just like stating like, correct, yes, I'm married. Peacemaker or anyone in that position that makes a comment like that, without being attacked, they will figure out the error in their way, because
Correct.
you don't have to turn it and make him into like some sort of bad guy. It's just he's just like, eventually when he finds out, it's like, oh, she's married to a chick.
Yeah.
I said hubbed up.
Mm-hmm.
I need to update my language there
Yeah.
to just be a little bit more applicable if that bothers me. And there are things in the show where Peacemaker he does it, people let him slide on it because he's Peacemaker and they just think he's like an arrogant et cetera, whatever he is. But over the course of this show, just through his interactions with people, he changes his ways and like comes a little more updated, because he comes out of prison. He's pretty out of date with the current world.
Right. Exactly right. And they've done that. They take that pattern and they've repeated it a couple times throughout the show. And at times where I feel like I'm ready for an eye roll, I'm like, oh, okay, they actually handled this really well. Yeah. That surprises me. A lot of TV shows like CW has a horrible way of bringing the point across, and they've done it time and time again in just the most atrocious ways, or just like, aside from the bad acting. But yeah, this show's just done so many great things like that. So
yeah, and I guess the whole in terms of media making their points about things, it's kind of like a joke. You don't need to ruin the joke by explaining the joke. Like, don't ruin the woke moment by explaining the woke moment. Just like everyone gets it by now. We understand like the minutia of what's happening here. He said hubbed up. She just like politely was like, yes, I'm married.
Correct. Yeah.
There's context buried in there. So yeah, at this point, you don't need to ruin the joke by saying, get it?
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I got it. Like,
yep. Yeah, she honestly became one of my favorite characters in the show because of that. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah,
she's super tolerant in terms of like, but she also stands her ground really well all throughout the episode.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, and that's right. Like I get, this entire kind of like concept of doing a coverage on Peacemaker was your idea, and you didn't show up to the first episode.
Right.
So of course, if you want to talk about anything like the first half of the series, definitely go for it. I did like the first half of the series. The first half felt very different than the second half. That's for sure.
Again, it's Vigilante became part of the team.
Oh God!
About a quarter of the way through. Yeah, obviously a breakout character. And in the comics, I was so, and they could do this in the future, I don't know, but in the comics, he was a district attorney, and so all these characters really had really different origins in the comics. But Vigilante in particular, he was Adrian Chase. He's a district attorney, and when these people would get out of the court system unscathed and he knew they were guilty, he started killing people. He lost his family, and very Punisher-esque way. They all got murdered, and he had a distaste for crime, just like he does in this show. But they took out the whole district attorney thing and just made him a restaurant worker who just hates crime. And we know his family got murdered, which they kept that. But in the comics, though, eventually,
in the comics, did he murder his family?
No, he did not. No.
Okay.
No, they were murdered, and that throws him into the spiral of just hating crime.
Yeah. They definitely changed him a lot. I think I like that comic take on him very strongly, but it wouldn't have fit into this as well, because he is Peacemaker's like dipshit best friend kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's just as nuts as Peacemaker. He's probably more crazy.
He's more nuts. He's more crazy than Peacemaker.
Yeah, I actually made the comment earlier where it's like, I feel like even if Peacemaker did something really, really wrong, Vigilante even though he loves him, he may still want to go kill him. He's just like that, like on the edge of you do something really evil, I'll kill you. But in the comics, he ended up putting a gun in his own mouth and took his own life.
Vigilante.
Adrian Chase, yeah.
Wow.
And that was along the district attorney line, and I was just like, oh, this character's so great. I really, really hope they don't have him kill himself. Because all these like emotional endings they have with this really awesome soundtrack, I could just picture them doing that scene. Yeah. And I was just really, it could still happen, I suppose, in the future. But the character's liked enough to where I think they're going to keep him around.
I mean, he's the blue Deadpool, really.
He really is. yeah, he's very much like Napoleon Dynamite and
Yeah.
Deadpool all in one, and without the weird voice, obviously. But his vocabulary is obviously a little interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a yeah. Obviously, we'll stick mainly to the second half. The first half, I obviously was at a girlfriend's birthday, so
Passable.
Mm-hmm.
Passable.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first half did a lot to, and the biggest difference is like Peacemaker, and obviously the rest of the team. Everyone had really good character growth and development over the course of the show, which was good. I like very paced development like that in characters. And the first half, but Peacemaker's the big one, obviously, and the first half is like he is in this old way, very kind of emotionally incompetent, if you will, and but his empathy through his backstory, but also as he kind of learns to like a new group of people that are kind of becoming his friends, his empathy really kind of shines through. Like he's not a total like douchebag or anything like that. He is, and he acts that way, but for reasons that are passable to the people that know him, and that's ultimately what the team kind of learned about him. And I think that was the biggest shift in it, because he kind of did become more of the voice of reason, oddly enough, in a lot of situations going through the second half of the season.
Well, the show puts his character in a very particular angle, because in the comics currently he's the leader of the Suicide Squad. So, but when he was originally introduced, he was just, I mean, there's a couple of different versions of him, but he was a nutcase. Obviously, just like the show shows you, he was so obsessed with peace, he was willing to kill whoever he needed to keep it. In the Charlton comics, he was a diplomat, I believe. Yeah, he was for the Geneva Convention Committee. He basically worked as a diplomat and tried to keep peace, and he he went through this whole process of like, well, the government's gonna do these black op missions to make war happen. I have to stop it myself to preserve the peace. And ironically, he's a huge pacifist, and he creates like all this like high tech weapons and armor, but he loves peace. But that's just how they. I mean, I guess I can see it. I don't like war. I like peace, but I love guns. So I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did his dad? So I guess his dad a new introduction, or did they just change that about who made the helmets and the gear?
So I'm pretty sure in the
Casey, you look great, by the way.
Oh, hey Casey, what's going on, man? I'm pretty sure in the Charlton comics he was just the diplomat, and his dad played a smaller role. No, I think he might have been in there, but when DC absorbed Charlton Comics, which they got like Captain Atom, Blue Beetle, a few others, and they introduced them to the main lineup in the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, which if you want to read Peacemaker, or his first appearance is in issue 6, I think, of Crisis on Infinite Earths. But anyway, he was that whole storyline. They gave him like his own like mini series after that. And his father was a military guy, and they found out he was actually a Nazi in that story. And and it's kind of a tragic thing too in that book too, because it's his 5th birthday. He walks into his bedroom, and his dad knows that the media is finding out that he's part of the the Nazi elites, and he puts a gun in his mouth and kills himself on Chris's 5th birthday. So that's part of the traumatic thing that happened there. And that spiraled actually into the ghost of his dad haunting him. And he eventually ends up believing that the people he kills the souls are inside of his helmet, so he can hear the voices of all the people he kills. So they, the helmet has like weird supernatural / high tech things throughout the comics too. But Peacemaker was a product of the late Silver Age. And in the Silver Age of comics, everything was becoming like sleek and sci-fi, because America was obsessed with the space age and the space race. And so that's where you saw Barry Allen Flash have like a scientific beginning. They rebooted Hal Jordan as a Green Lantern instead of Alan Scott. Instead of a magical ring, it was a technological alien ring. So Peacemaker was kind of a product of that. So you'll see him. He's part of a group called the Fightin' Five, I think. And he's he's got the helmet on. Or no, he had like a solo story in that book, I think. But he had a jetpack. A jetpack was like a funny joke they did in the first or second episode of this. But even his guns had a little bit like of a techiness look to them. So he was in a really awkward stage because the Silver Age of comics were, growing into the Bronze Age, and it was no one. The sci-fi still had its place, but it wasn't as prominent in books anymore. But so he just always had like a weird standout look to him, and obviously that character's never picked up any type of steam until until John Cena's iteration of him, and this iteration, which is perfect, by the way.
How planned out do you think it was, or like why is this so intentional for like James Gunn to do this to like such an offshoot character? Even though Guardians of the Galaxy is very much the same kind of story, but they're also like a group of characters in an already very thriving universe.
I would, I honestly, I wouldn't even consider the Guardians of the Galaxy being really good books before what James Gunn did to them. Right. I thought they were just, so he takes these characters where he has like nothing to lose and just shotguns it in like the most wonderful ways. Guardians of the Galaxy, they became they became a great group after that. And it's not only that, their comic books all of a sudden became better. They expanded into like having like a version of Venom join them, and the Guardians kind of expanded into other facets, and they had different members like Ghost Rider join for a while. Wow. It was like there was a cosmic Ghost Rider. I think it was Punisher actually. There was like a weird side thing. But anyway, they really took the idea of the Guardians of the Galaxy, explored it into just other interesting characters, and it's like James Gunn gave them the formula for that.
Yeah, he's able to somehow give them a very likable, entertaining base for everyone to understand the characters. Mm-hmm. And like, it's kind of like it kind of really defeats the point of like how people are like, you should read the book, formulate your own like vision of what these characters are, versus like go see the movie and just have the movie tell you like what they look like, how they talk, the way they act. Yeah. But it's almost like he's able to do that for characters that otherwise don't land well at all in writing first.
Right. And it's, I can't, and the next character he picks up, I'm just gonna be like, I'm excited for it. Sorry, my dog, shook her head. I'm really interested in, I hope he sticks with this for a long time. I hope he grows it into just pulling some other random characters in. Yeah. And I get the feeling that it's going to grow into other characters, like maybe Booster Gold. I don't know if you know who Booster Gold is, but I mean, what an amazing character to be for this. And even the original Blue Beetle, the Ted Kord version that came over with him from Charlton Comics. There's a lot of things they could do off of this to keep it going.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely doesn't have to remain like Peacemaker alone. It could be like he can do an anthology of just all of these characters and like just loosely tie it together. Right. But I kind of feel like there's going to be a Peacemaker season 2.
Oh yeah, it was announced. It was announced.
Yeah. But like continuing on, like just keep going.
Oh yeah. So you like a 3 and a 4. A lot of these shows, I hope that they don't go on too long. I like like what Disney is doing with Marvel, like for the new Captain America, just a short series, takes the character on and just kind of lets him fly. I mean, it's Falcon. I guess that's kind of a weird joke, but it wasn't even a joke. But yeah, they let him fly, give him a little boost. And the longer TV shows go on, this obviously too. They get watered down and they spiral out of control. But
they definitely can't beat it. Definitely don't run into the ground. But like a good 3-4 seasons would be nice.
Yeah,
but
I'd say so.
But like we were seeing with other things Disney, like Star Wars, very easily where they could, by the time you get to Peacemaker season 3 or 4, you're kind of peeling into the next series, right? Or movie if they start to do that. We have yet to see that. I mean, outside of actually technically, I don't think we've really seen that yet because I feel like we're on this precipice of all these new series coming out, and we don't know if they have second seasons. We don't know if they're going to be multiple seasons. We don't know if like when the movie's going to tie it all together.
Right. Yeah.
Because we
because it's just chaos though. Also, it's formulated chaos, I suppose. Maybe they'll just they'll create their own expectation out of it. You know, like you don't need to know
Yeah,
because
right.
there's something else to
Exactly.
watch.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's a big lull in movies, and obviously I don't know if that's just a combination of things of going on in the world, but we're just in this huge little age of just series upon series that would otherwise be movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just wondering when they're going to pull the like team up movie card, because I feel like that's what they might be building to, and that's what would make a lot of sense, especially with Marvel. The way Marvel's doing it's very much like, where are all these characters going to show up in the next movie? And they've already started that. But when it comes to like Star Wars and DC, it's like, how do they want to handle it? Hopefully they don't do it like Marvel per se, but it's just interesting. Especially when you have like a breakout show like this, that's like you said, all about it. And you're like, I'm not going to like that. And then it turns out it's like, wow, it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the source material, it just wasn't that good. It wasn't like incredibly unique. It was decent. But the most, like when Superman was doing a lot of things in the 90s, one of the most memorable things he did was die, right? So
Right.
And like it sounds horrible, but it's that kind of thing like has to like spark, and like you can always look back at it. That's kind of what they did with Vigilante. They knew that character in the comics, served whatever they were trying to do, wasn't going the best manner, so they just gave him a very dramatic end. I'm okay with that. That's fine. I just hope they don't do it in this, because these characters, I mean, there needs to be a Peacemaker Vigilante movie. Like that would be, it should happen at this point.
That it's almost like you could say the series is the mainline event now, and you insert a Peacemaker Vigilante movie in between this and season 2.
Yeah,
something like that.
Even if Vigilante is not even a part of like whatever season it is, like what a cool callback it would be, right? Just to bring him. And like, oh, it's just like Peacemaker and Vigilante, and it's just that. But I'm very curious to see how it's going to tie into the Suicide Squad, because in the comics, like I said, he's leading the Suicide Squad. At least he was when the last one launched. But he has a very, very leadership role, and I think he's kind of on that arc to where he can be like a superhero that just kills people when he needs to, type of thing.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they kind of like say like, I don't know, season 2 Peacemaker takes him completely somewhere else. Vigilante for whatever reason doesn't follow.
Yeah,
and then you either in a movie callback or season 3 Peacemaker, Vigilante went on to become like the DA. Yeah, and they like revive that somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
If that happens, I'll be like, oh God, it's coming. He's gonna die.
He's gonna die. He's going to unalive himself. I forget what term we use.
That's right. I think it was
not alive, just like not live, not alive yourself.
What anyway, was that term?
We'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah,
it was a good one. Unalive yourself.
I think it was unalive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So anyways, but episode 5, this is called Monkey Dory. This episode was, and this is basically, I think large in part, if I remember correctly, was Peacemaker kind of like dealing with like most of like his father. Because wasn't it at the end of this episode where his father decided to go after him?
Let me see. No. They're all kind of blending together.
Yeah, no, I lied. That was episode 6. Because then in episode 7, they dealt with his father.
Episode 5 was the raid that they did on the facility.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good episode. Yeah, it does all blend together. It's hard. But as a whole, Monkey Dory, and I love the names of these episodes too, because they're all like Monkey Dory, Mern After Reading. I love that. Excellent little callback there. It's Cow or Never, obviously. This last episode.
I look real quick. It's been a very long time since 2 things happened. One, I didn't feel like I needed to skip the intro every time.
Right.
Like I can't. The last time that's happened to me, I think, was Batman the Animated Series. I mean, I know when we were kids, we couldn't actually go through it that way, but like
couldn't actually physically like skip it. I'm gonna walk out of the room.
but even to this day, when I watch it on like HBO Max or whatever, like I don't skip the intro. And then two, I never like look forward to it, but every time I see the intro, the name of the episode, I laugh. Like I can't, maybe not every time, but the majority of the time this whole season, I'm like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah, the title cards and then obviously the intro is great. I mean, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and every time I'm like, you know what, I just need to get into the episode and just start watching. But I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna let this intro play because
Yeah,
it's as good as I remember it.
yeah, that show is close to doing that. You are right. I think I would do it like if I'd like sit down and watch like 2 or 3 episodes. I'd like watch it like I'd watch like once. But it's yeah, I don't ever really get tired of that intro either.
I'm on a good pace of like watching one a night at times, just like that as a nightcap, just because I find that instead of finding a show that like I'm on my phone about and I don't really care about it and just playing in the background, I found that a show that I've completely seen but very thoroughly enjoy is better than that kind of like throwaway show that you just kind of put on. And it's totally more worth it to say like, no, yeah, I rewatched Game of Thrones. I've seen it twice. But since I'm doing one, I only watch like one a night. That's where it's like, yep, just let that title intro play because it just hits every time. And that's what what this show does too. I mean, it's good. And I love the choreography in the intro too, because that's half of it. Music's great, but like there is so much going on in that set piece, what everyone's doing.
And
it's mesmerizing.
Everyone keeps their character's demeanor the entire time. And that's really what goes on to it. But man, yeah.
So all the way to the very end, because I have to like rewatch it to make sure it's real. But Peacemaker like does like a peck flex as Eagly like screeches. Like it's in unison as Eagly screeches at the end, like he does a in unison pec flex for like no reason. As he's holding what's that dude's name?
Judo Master.
Who kind of just like disappeared and then just showed up at the very, very end.
Yeah, that was, I feel like they didn't totally know what to do with him at that point, but
yeah,
I'd rather them just not address it too much and then do something weird and waste time on it.
Yeah. So was it episode 5 though, where we got the Myrn reveal at the very end? Yes,
I think it was the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause then the next episode, Myrn after reading, that's where it starts off with,
right.
Myrn fighting her in the street, but then it's like, here, I gotta tell you the truth kind of thing. And then like Hardcore pulls up and
right.
They get into all of that. Never understood why they completely left Peacemaker out for so long. But I guess he is pretty impressionable, and that would be the kind of thing that he would have been like, what the hell? Like, I'm going to kill you all.
Yeah, I think it was like a distrust thing, possibly. Maybe like they kind of used him as a battering ram, the same ways that like, just a very disposable object to get the job done. I would say, as far if anything was unrealistic to how the storyline would play out, is Amanda Waller let them just do way too many things off to whatever they saw fit. I know that she had leadership on the ground and everything like that, but she's obviously way more involved, especially with something that's like this. So I feel like Amanda could have been a bigger part of it, pulling some more strings. They tried to do it, but nothing. It just didn't. It felt like they were able to do whatever they wanted without repercussions of her.
I definitely felt like Mother Waller was used less than what they let on to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she would become a much more prominent character. At least that's how they set it up in the first few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a whole mystique about like she's her daughter, like she's undercover, and that kind of never really fleshed out. And I don't know if that was because, it's just like she had no real nefarious reason to have her daughter there other than she needed a job and she needed to keep an eye on Myrn because she was suspicious of him. But the reveal at the end too about all that, like I was like, oh, that makes sense. I didn't know that she's the one that's like in charge of the whole reuse criminals to do our dirty work program.
Yeah.
So I didn't even put that. I didn't even know that.
Now that it's that's really what the Suicide Squad is. They're just a bunch of washed up criminals sent on suicide missions to complete jobs for the government. And that's how you get a lot of these C, D, and sometimes B list characters thrown in the mix. Not that Harley Quinn's like that, because they have like their primary characters that aren't that are A and B list, I guess. But
was that a reveal though, for like maybe people that are more caught up, or is her mother like known to be the person that's kind of in charge of?
No, she's known. So if you watch the first Suicide Squad, the Jared Leto's Joker in it, she's in there. And then also she's in the Suicide Squad. She's a cold-hearted bitch. Oh, all in all, like it's a type of character that you're just like, ooh, just can't trust her.
Gotcha. Okay, so that was fresh to me, not knowing anything about this stuff. So, sure that was more for other people, but that also is like a huge like open-ended thing there, because like her daughter just straight up ratted her out.
Right. It's so, really real quick. What's crazy is her daughter, Leota, is very. It's there's so much that she's not like her, and there's some things that she's exactly like her, but like in a different way. It's unique. It's very interesting.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the last episode, in the finale, she was like, I was made for this or whatever, and she just like annihilates a ton of people with like very, very wicked gunplay too, like dual wielding, just popping people. So it's like that's where that kind of showed, like she became that for a moment when needed, but otherwise she's mostly a pushover and like very timid about her.
Yeah, you want to, and I know me of all people, I don't want to bring up Star Wars. I don't hate Star Wars. We talk about it all the time. She is exactly the way to have a strong female character that doesn't do everything perfect all the time.
Sure.
Right. She made the dumbest mistakes, but she was, and some of them didn't even go the right way in the end. She wasn't able to correct them, but she was able to do things sometimes and fell on her face the other times. And that's she's a perfect example of a strong female character that people can relate to.
Right. But they didn't show like all the like shooting range sessions she went to between like the second episode where she shot her first person ever to being like elite assassin in the finale.
No, they absolutely didn't. But she wasn't defeating Luke Skywalker with the lightsabers. I don't know. But the best thing I can say is that the way her pistol work, super sloppy. She was just throwing it around, like super dangerous and sloppy.
It was almost comical. Like she was just that scene also was all set up to be more in the funny, like she wasn't supposed to make it through that, but through just like the most ridiculous things, like she did.
Listen, I would feel a lot worse about the scene if she did like a roundhouse kick to one of them or something like that, right? They did it. Anyone can run into an area with guns that other people don't have guns and just start shooting away as long as they're close enough. She had a couple long range headshots. I do get it, but she didn't break into like foot sweeps and then hurricane roundhouses and.
Yeah, she was just cleaning up all the injured people that were still kind of limping around because I mean,
shell shocked.
To their credit, like I thought Harcourt was dead. I thought Vigilante was dead. He just shakes it off though. He's so funny. Yep. But yeah, I
thought actually a knife. I thought a knife went into him. I thought he pulled it out and threw the knife, but he's got the two knives behind him.
Yeah, he had that knife. He got shot though, but I was like, is he about to be like paralyzed? Because like look, get shot right in like the lower
spine,
lower back, and that like usually paralyzes people, but not him. He's just like so oblivious and like kind of dumb to like even care.
Yes, it's the good and the bad thing about wearing armor is if you get shot with the right round type millimeter or whatever, it can go through, but it gets redirected. So it's like if it's gonna hit your collarbone, well, I'd rather have my collarbone get hit instead of the body armor shoving it down to my heart, right? Like, there's certain things that it does good and bad things, and yeah, it's. Yeah,
I was
he
thinking
probably got redirected. Go ahead.
I was thinking they were gonna show how he was like the smartest one of the group for actually having like a face mask because nothing could like crawl in his mouth and like
Right.
take over him. Because I was like, well, at least he's got that going for him.
That's a good point.
I was like, that this is where the costume is very important. The
Right.
right costume, obviously. If only they could like explain away the cape to be like a super useful element of the superhero costume, then
Right. Yeah.
James Gunn would really be winning.
He would. Yeah. Superman just needs it though.
Yeah.
For that display.
Yes, of course. The silhouette just hovering there. Just I never touched the ground.
The cape blowing. And it's raining outside like crazy.
It's raining pretty hard.
Yeah,
and
I have a skylight above me, so I apologize if the rain's like.
Nope. Can't hear it. It's mega wet out there, and all that snow on top of it. Just the ground's just like, nah, I'm full. I've been full.
Right.
Don't need it. So these butterflies, are these pre-existing in comics?
No, they're not. I was super excited about that too, because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Right.
I have nothing to. Again, the characters, they're they rhyme with their history. They don't repeat, right? There was, I mean, I didn't really know what was going to happen with anybody along the way, but especially them. It was cool to have just some random alien race, because these. You think about comics. There's tons of comics where there's something created for just like a 6-issue miniseries, and you just never seen again. So it's fun that he's taking some initiative to do that and not having to, take a character like a unique villain or something like that, and then having to kill him off in the end. Where I'm like, damn it, well, there goes that guy. I can't see him anymore in the future.
Yeah.
So I like it. I was happy they did that.
Yeah, and I liked. This kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about kind of, not wokeness, but all sides. So like the final kind of like speech there by the main one that he initially befriended in the glass. She gave her pitch, right? Her side of things. And that's, you could, the same way they did the whole like Nazi thing, like they were building up these, the white dragon, right, as potentially some sort of like very prevalent character, but they were able to like well, in the end, Nazis still lose. Like Nazis are bad. That's the way the judgment has fallen. But here they introduce like another kind of like very invasive species. Gives her pitch, fairly good argument, logically sound, but completely separate from that. Get into the whole Thanos argument. Like, was he right? Was he wrong? Point of the matter is like, Peacemaker's like, yeah, no, for other reasons, completely separate from any logical reasons you have, you're wrong. Because at the end he says like, it would have made all of my friends upset at me if I were to choose differently. So like, he's kind of carrying that whole friend family unit value forward over any sort of like logical explanation of like sides and what's right or wrong, because there's probably people that are like, you know what, that's fair. He should probably like not kill her and the giant cow, but he's like, nah, helmet. What was it? What was the move?
The human torpedo.
Activate human torpedo and just kills it. So I thought that was really good. Like switch there.
Super interesting because he listened to what Goff was saying for the alien and the whole speech, and he realized that they were trying to achieve what they saw as like a peace through totalitarian means of no free will.
Yeah.
So he made a choice for free will, right? By saying we can make it, we can make the world peaceful. I've been trying to make it peaceful, and we can do it as a collective group. But it's just ironic. It's ironic that he took Leota's free will away by activating the human torpedo himself and launched her into it. I guess that's just part of the insanity of the show. But yeah, he chooses to take action of free will and takes Leota's free will completely away.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That is
Uh,
funny. Yeah, I like that little like switch up thing because they spent a lot of time. They were like flashbacks to like his brother dying, his father, and it's like, the whole vow thing like triggering. Like, oh my god,
right.
must keep like you have a vow. I have that was kind of weak. I was like, are they really about to be like because he has a vow? He's gonna be
Right.
like, oh, this person has a vow, so I'm gonna take their side. No, I like that build up, but then the complete just like disintegration of that whole point. It's just like,
Right.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, sucks you lost your planet. That doesn't give you the right to come here and just like start taking our free will away on our
Right.
planet. So nuke you, but he still stays friend with his little buddy at the end, which is creepy. I don't know. He only had a little bit of the juice left. Is
Yeah, is
she
he gonna
like,
starve? I get the feeling they're gonna find some other means of milking. Yeah, I don't know how. I don't like where this is going, but yeah,
we may
they got to
never see
find
it
some
again,
other
like you
food.
said.
Hmm.
Never see it
Yeah.
ever again, like you said. Like it's just, well, that's also the same notion of like create some sort of threat for the current series to handle. So that's where like the nerds come in and they're like, well, where were they when this was happening? Where were they
Hmm.
when that was happening? That happened to the Eternals. And this also happened in this series because they're like, just why can't we just call the Justice League? Like, just fix
Hmm.
it. Like, there's an alien invasion. Um, they do show up, by the way. Spoiler.
There's probably a lot of alien invasions happening too.
Yeah, true. And I guess that's the whole Captain Marvel point in like Infinity War. She's like, there's a lot of bad stuff going out there. That's why I can't help you guys.
Hmm.
So guess to take that route, it's fair. It's fair.
Well, I think the you know I am in my mind. I always saw it'd be kind of cool to have them come in and help them fight alongside of them. But it's you kind of want to see them be capable enough to finish up their own stuff that they're dealing with, and
Yeah.
they didn't do it perfectly, which is great. Two of them almost died. Three of them almost technically died, I suppose.
Dude, when he
Uh,
broke his leg, that was hilarious because he fell
we
over
were
the
all
fence
laughing.
post. Yeah. I was like,
It's a
that's
compound fracture
awesome.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
But
I don't know how the hell he crawled over to them. I was like, did he use the human
that
torpedo
was
to get over
fast.
there?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
he
fast.
got
Like
there
he
really
just showed
quick.
up there. I didn't
Yeah,
like that. I was like, there's some logistic issues with that, but I'll
yeah.
pass.
They should have showed him put the helmet on, call it, and then take it off right before he got there or something.
That would have been entertaining because
Yeah,
it's like dragging him through the grass and he's got a
it's like
broken leg. He
doof,
would have
doof, doof,
lost the other
doof.
half of the leg that wasn't connected.
Yeah, or he
Um,
breaks the second one while going up and down. I don't know.
and then he had it completely like taped and shimmed when they got out
Right,
of there. So that was funny too. That dude grew on me a lot.
he
And
did.
they did a lot, and they had that moment over the walkie-talkie there when he was explaining himself, and I was like, dang, they like went there with
They
all of
did.
that.
Yeah, and it's another thing. It's like it's cool to see a show try to address like insecurities in a very non-Full House manner.
Yeah,
Like it's okay to be like this. You can, you're fine just the way you are. No, you're not. You're not always fine just the way you are. Let's talk about that. You can acknowledge that because maybe it'll get better after you acknowledge it.
right.
Right? Sometimes you
Yeah,
are fine, but you're not always fine. And
yeah.
they, like you said, they went there, and he cut himself really deep with it, and it's yeah, when he was talking, I'm like, oh god, my beard's not the best either. Maybe I have issues, but they went there with it, and I'm glad they did. It's just a good thing.
Yeah, such a subtle undertone, like a jab thing throughout the whole series, and then finally, like they just peeled that band-aid off, and he's like, you know what? It takes this level of like discomfort and like jarring, like life-threatening situation for you to even come to terms with that. Like,
Right.
that's what it took for him to like admit that and say that
Hmm.
out loud, which kind of speaks to like just how some people just it's hard to like talk about that stuff, like and admit that.
It fit the way that the butterflies talk too, right? They talk like almost not in third person,
Yeah,
but they talk about their vessel,
yeah.
and he was talking about himself like he was talking about his vessel. Like
Fit
it's
perfectly.
yeah, from like I guess a directorial standpoint, it's genius
Yeah.
to have it come full circle that way.
And he even asked that, he's like, how do they act? Like, they were talking about that before he went out there. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
just act like them. Like, they're just kind of like
Yeah.
robots. Like, they
Yeah.
use English. They just kind of like talk plainly. They did chicken out and he just left down the stairs. Then dipshit Nazi found it and was just like,
Right.
hey, that guy, he left it here.
Right.
I love the sonic boom though, because it like just splatters everything.
Yeah, it's that's one of my favorite things from the show, honestly, especially when he killed the butterfly who he hooked up with in the first episode. Like, I was just like,
nuked her.
I love he's just sitting there like in his tidy whities with the helmet on.
The car.
Like, yeah, like just everything about the show is just it's hilarious, brutal, it's sad, and it's like it does look, I mean, it might be one of my favorite TV shows, maybe ever, especially at least as an adult.
It's ridiculously entertaining, that's for sure. And I think the fact that it hits all those notes that you just said is the also really cool part about it, because it doesn't like it's kind of how people like feel a lot, is like you're happy, you just kind of like seamlessly go from like happy in a related fashion to like sad, because Vigilante, hilarious character, but underneath like he's super sad character though too. And Peacemaker, funny in that like John Cena like dumbass way, but he has a huge empathetic like sadness to him that is just very just like grounding. And that happened like every other episode, where it would just be like this moment of just like, I feel bad for him. Like it's just like it's sad. Like it's not easy to deal with that.
I went from, I like the character in Suicide Squad, but I hated the character, like what he does. I went from completely hating this guy to like why are they giving this prick a show? Like why this character is just I can't see it being anything. And now, I think the character is phenomenal. I can't tell you the last time a superhero has like been like redone or remade in a manner to where I'm like, I need to get some merchandise of this guy. That hasn't happened to me. I literally can't even think about when the last time it's happened to me.
So like adding a new character to your, I need merchandise of this character. Yeah. Right. Because otherwise it's a lot of the same characters kind of like getting new merchandise.
Rehashing new versions of themselves, and different actors playing different ones. Shout out Clooney. I was kidding. But it's like I'm gonna get some of the patents and stuff just to add to more Batman collections, more key issues or not key issues, but just like variant covers that are related to it. But luckily, I had some Peacemaker key issues before this came out, which were all just much like dollar bin, throwaway comics. Now they're like $40-$50, and it's cool to see them jump up like that. Yeah, and Which, if anyone loves Vigilante, they fell in love with the character, you can get his first appearance for like still like $20-$30. So it's good to have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing is like Peacemaker, I like how they handled his perception of like the other heroes and like his placement amongst the wider like hero verse, because they're like, do you have your whatever villains? That's what makes you a superhero. Otherwise they're like, no, you're a super villain if you don't have that, and like you're just like, otherwise it's like, write you off douchebag. But by the end of it, they all show up and he's just like, heck were you, like screw you, like still just get out of my way, like you guys are annoying. And he still thinks very highly of himself, like through all that. Like he did come out of this like more confident and definitely more oriented in his life, obviously with his like little love of hardcore kind of blossoming, but still quietly underneath, like there's his dad sitting on the porch, haunting him, and he's just kind of like swigging his beer with the butterfly, and old Eagly is dropping roadkill out of the sky.
So good, so good. I, having we had this discussion afterwards, and we're like, why was those four the ones there? I think there's a lot of different reasons. They probably actually filmed it with just Flash and Aquaman, or maybe even just one. I mean, just probably the two of them. And they're like, this is kind of weird, right? Why would these two show up? They're like, let's give Wonder Woman. Let's have Wonder Woman there. We'll do it this manner. And then they looked at it and they're like, yeah, you know what? This is kind of weird, just having one character off in the dark, not saying anything. We need a second one. So then they add Superman to it. It's much easier having two people there, especially as powerful as they are, just looking over the situation, making sure they're not needed, right? Because this is kind of a low level situation for them. They're just looking around, and the interactions between Aquaman and Flash and Peacemaker, people that are closer to each other's level personality wise. I think it was done pretty damn well.
Okay, that helps me kind of get through that scene a little better, because while the entire situation wasn't as necessary for them to show up, like all the context that us as the viewer has, from the Justice League's perception, there's a ton of people dying, low-key explosions. It's enough to and obviously a whole police department just went MIA. Right. So I guess that would warrant a visit from the next tier up to be like, is everything okay here? Just making sure. There's a lot of dead bodies. Just need to file a report here to the Justice League Center, and we'll be on our way. So
I bet if and this is just obvious fan theory, but I bet if you watch it from the Superman side, for instance, if they were sitting in the Hall of Justice, he heard the first sonic boom go off, and he looked over to the side, and then he was like, that was strange, and then he hears two more, and he's like, we got to go check this out, and that's how I would sell that.
Yeah.
But when it's a lot like if you get pulled over and there's a police officer behind you, generally backup comes just to be there in case the officer that pulled you over has an issue. Yeah. And they're there as just backup. That's kind of what Wonder Woman, Superman did. They were there just kind of, letting Flash and Aquaman do what they do best, just chit chat and assess the situation. And they're there if there's something crazier going on. Where they were with Starro, I can't totally explain that. But yeah, that's just how I see this.
No, I agree with that. That helps a lot. Because at first I was like, there's tossing in cameos here, but put it like that makes a lot more sense. Kind of talking through that, because they would check something like that out, because then that fixes that answers the whole entire question of where are they at all? At least now we know where they're at. They're watching, they're observing, they're here. Do they need to punch a butterfly in the face? No, not at all. Because Peacemaker and the rest of the team, they did what they were supposed to do. Limping away completely, nearly dead. I thought they were killing off two people, but they didn't. Well, I guess Vigilante could still be dead, right? Or no?
No. Unless he jumped out the window at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
yeah. He jumped. So he could be dead, depending on how high up he was.
Well, I was waiting for the thud, the crash, the comical falling through the tree's bush and crash, but it never happened.
I didn't realize how high up he was. You hear him go through a bunch of branches and hit the ground.
Yeah. I thought that's where they're going with that, but they didn't. I love his method. He's just in and out. He's cool, I feel good, I'm out. Right. I mean, he just sleeps that stuff off. That dude's
I thought he was gonna freak out that they knew who he was at that point. Without his mask on. But I thought it was funny when he passed out too. That's such an old school joke. I'm fine, pass out, but just seeing him do that in the outfit, I think that's probably what it was. Is the outfit.
Yeah, and he's made it through a lot. That he blew up on that grenade when they fought his dad. I thought he was dead there, and he's just driving the car, just destroyed, and his suit's destroyed and tattered.
All the shrapnel tears, yeah.
Yeah, and he's just I'm fine. What Well, no, that's when he does pass out there, and he like
That's right.
it steers off the road.
He does. Yeah, and it's cool that they did it like in the manner where the car just slowed down as it went off the road. It wasn't like a crash into a tree.
Well, that was the other thing that I really appreciated was like all the cars were like they were. I'm not going to say like what they were, but they were like Priuses. They were like Ford Fusions, Ford Focuses. Like they were not like hot rods. They weren't like muscle cars or like foreign cars. They were just
the first one got destroyed in the first episode. Augie's or not Augie, it was licensed to him obviously at the end, but Peacemaker's car was just that American flag car. What the hell was it? I forget the kind of car it was. I can't remember. But
yeah. But the rest of them were like just more modern like rentals that you would get. They just get like destroyed, and that's what would happen if like you fell asleep at like in a Ford Focus. It would just kind of like off the side of the road.
Just a quick point: Augie, his father, in the comics, he was never ever the White Dragon. The White Dragon did exist in the comics, and he was a racist mother effer, and he was basically a Nazi, but he was also part of the Suicide Squad. So it's another B-level type character. But I thought they did a really good job bringing that character into it and making Robert Patrick that. I mean,
he's good.
Like, yeah. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know what TV show actually made such a dirtbag character that I liked in a long time like that either. Like that big of a dirtbag.
Yeah.
You know, like his acting's so good that you just like you have to appreciate him, even though he's a complete dirtbag.
Well, that's the other thing is like, he's a dirtbag Nazi, but he's also like a dirtbag father. Like that's the ultimate
he's an all-around trash person. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate thing that like I still feel like Peacemaker still hasn't accepted it, but like he tells himself it, but he doesn't like actually accept it. But like his dad killed his brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously anyone that watches that scene today is like, well, duh, dipshit. You shouldn't have like your sons fist fighting in a sand pit while your Nazi buddies like bet on it.
Right.
Clearly, like Peacemaker, it's not your fault that your father had you fist fight your brother to the death. So but there's just like all that stuff, and his acting was really good, and that's where I did like that went from the whole when he arrived at jail, which was is funny because like it's just like a county jail, but they're storing like hardcore Nazis and like the White Dragon.
That was like what kind of security's in this place? It's like they like wanted to be in there.
Yeah, it's just like we need some food, need a bed, we just want to hang out, play cards, and hang out in the mess hall.
Somehow it fit though. It's weird. It's not believable either to me, but somehow it's just like this for that type of just crazy like Charlton County weird place. It's it worked. I felt really weird about it too, but it worked for some weird reason.
Yeah, and like when they did that whole reveal, that he's the White Dragon, all his like Nazi prison buddies like did the whole like hail thing. It was almost like that's where you could do the whole thing. Like, are they like gonna try to like glorify this character and like make him into something and like build him up? But then the way it ends and plays out is like at the end of the day, they all put on their stupid ass white hoods, and then really, the entrance is phenomenal. With his father, the White Dragon,
when he does just runs right into the truck.
He's flying. Everyone else is in vehicles. They're in vans. Like they seem like they're souped up and they're like hard asses. Yeah. And he's flying in, but at the end of the day, they're like, "Let's go chase a raccoon through the woods and look like a bunch of dipshits." And I thought that was great because at first it was like, they're doing a really good job playing up like all sides of like you said, like. Not bashing anybody. Everyone has a fair standing, but then it's like, at the end of the day, you know what? They're a bunch of dummies in white hoods, and they're
dumb rednecks.
They're like another shining moment. I forget his name. The beard guy who had his moment.
Dyebeard.
Yeah, the Dyebeard guy. But he shows up and he just like murders all the Nazis. With the machine gun, and doesn't hit Vigilante or anybody else, but. it brings it back to itself. You know what I mean? Like it hits these super serious tones where it's like, okay, I see what you're doing, but then it just brings it down and just lays the comical waste to the group of like idiots.
Right.
And I thought that the White Dragon would play a much more pivotal role in like the finale, right? Like the major arc, but instead it was just kind of like a throwaway, like deal with your father type thing and completely separate.
Well, they probably knew that it can be touchy, so they had to address it quick and just get it out of there. And it was done pretty well. I liked when they tricked him with the raccoon. Augie was just like, son of a, like, he's like, he got me. he knew he shouldn't have fallen for it because he obviously is a super smart guy.
Yeah.
And they took the whole original where Chris built all those weapons and his dad was the one who built all the crazy weapons and the high tech armor and stuff. I thought that was kind of neat. And I still don't understand. Well, I have a theory as to why he's got like an interdimensional workroom.
I was going to ask you that.
They never really got into that, right? Like
no.
They didn't. I think the older neighbor guy is Batmite. If you know who Batmite is.
I don't know, but
he is.
Tell me.
It's from like the Batmite dimension. It's kind of the fifth dimension type character. He's like from this alternate reality and he travels in between. But anyway, he's a huge Batman fan. And I think that could have been why the neighbor was like comparing him to Batman and talking about the Rogues Gallery. And but he's like this super short, like chubby guy who like floats in the air, but he's wearing like an oversized Batman outfit, but the ears are flopping over like socks, and you don't see what I'm getting at. So I could see him being that character, especially because they talk about Batmite in the first or second episode. Or was it later? I can't remember, but they actually mentioned Batmite eventually.
Okay. Well, that's the other thing is like Peacemaker threw out all kinds of superhero like Easter eggs when he talks. Like he says so many random things. Like it's hard to catch them all too, because like they're like belligerent like comments too, where he's just like making like hard puns back to people and just using these weird Easter eggs to us, but like he's just like calling people names and stuff, and it's hard to catch all that. But you're like, I know that's something. He just said something.
One of the dude, I'm telling you right now, he talks about Kite Man in it.
Yeah,
and Kite Man. Did you ever watch the Harley Quinn cartoon? They did such a great job with Kite Man. It's hilarious. His name's Charles Brown. Charlie Brown. It's just like it shows you because he's a very clumsy guy and he's a horrible villain, and he literally just wears a kite. He like robs people and runs and jumps away on a kite and flies away with a kite. It's literally
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So I might hate my life for not picking up a first appearance of Kite Man pretty soon. So
better do it now.
It's an old book, so it's already been expensive, but it's going to get more expensive, I think.
Yeah. Just the reference. And that's
my middle name's Charlie, so I'm like, cool character named Charlie.
Is your last name Brown?
No.
That's the other thing too, is like in the intro, back to the intro, is as you learn about these characters, even before you know the characters, like just seeing his dad like do his part of, like just like the little like pelvis thrust and like all the moves, and even the old neighbor guy, like when he shows up, Harcourt, she comes out doing like a very kind of like elegant, very, very choreographed move. And I like the camera angle on her.
I'm sure you do.
It follows her out and like pivots with her spin, and it throws me off because like they all do it in unison. Like the choreography on that whole intro is really, really good.
Dude, I was talking to Kelly about it. I'm like, oh my God, like dude, she's ripped. Yeah, she's solid.
Yeah. There's a lot going on, and that's why you have to watch it like every single time, because you have to like double check. Like, is this really happening?
And she's another example. Is like I'm talking about. They keep the demeanor when they're doing the dance. She just looks pissed off, like she's just angry. It's such a good job.
They're all straight faced. There is one though. The character must have been an early loss, but she's left of Peacemaker in the first half of the intro.
It's Leota's wife.
Oh, yeah. There she is. I never put that
I don't
together.
know.
I was like, who is she?
I don't know why she's there to the point to where how Peacemaker would envision her. Because I don't know if he even met her.
She's not in the right outfit. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just
the whole intro is supposed to be how Peacemaker sees them in his mind taking part in this dance.
mm,
And I don't think he ever met her, so it's a
yeah,
little
he didn't.
strange.
Yeah. That even makes it more strange.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for putting that together. Because I was like, who is like she must have been early in the show and like she's gone. But like I guess she's never in it in a very like physical fashion like everyone else is. Like everyone else has like action and
Right.
more.
Yeah,
She's always
she
just
was-
in a room talking to her wife. Like that's all
Yeah,
that ever
they
happens.
can do a lot with that. I would assume she might be some kind of like Waller's so nuts to where she might have put her in her life to fall in love with her daughter.
God.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
great. She's nuts, but I think she was really there to show that Leota was a character that wasn't all in on the team, and she had like a personal life outside of it that she was trying to get back to. When all these other people are just in it for the
in it.
yeah, to do the mission.
That's how I feel about work sometimes. Be like, guys, like I am out for like a few hours, like the day, like I'm just checked out. Like
I had one of those
things
mornings
going on.
today, actually.
Yeah.
Like you wake up and get out of bed, and then you just get back in bed.
I'm more so thinking about the end of the day where it's like, all right, it's time to eat dinner.
Yeah.
You know, pick the kid up, you know, hang out with your wife, like just do like some like just basic things, like not work, not look at crypto stonks, any of that. Just stay away from it.
It was it's all rainy, and my dog Harley was like just like all cuddled up on me. I'm like, I don't want to move.
Oh yeah, it's been pouring today. I like that your dog's name is Harley, by the way.
Yeah, ironically, that's not from Harley Quinn. We rescued her, and her name was Harley. I had no idea what her name was until I got there to get her.
My dog's a rescue too.
I even asked the girl that we were. It was just a really, hopefully she's not watching, but it was a really shitty situation for this dog, and I was like, "What's her name?" She's like, "Harley." I'm like, "Oh, like Harley Quinn?" She's like, I'm like, well, I'll just take the leash and we'll
be on our way.
Yeah.
You know, never mind that comment. We get that all the times with our dogs. So they're like, oh, his name's Hobbs. And they're like, oh, Calvin and Hobbs. We're like, I guess he's a rescue.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw. No, we've gotten that too from like super like meatheads. Like later down the road, like, oh, like Fast, like, that's new. You should get Calvin and Hobbs, like the cartoon, but I guess Hobbs and Shaw works too. I get that you're a huge Fast and the Furious fan. I am as well.
Right.
Not that much. I would not name my dogs after a character The Rock plays. But I guess you fall into that pit sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's actually I forgot that he was the Hobbs character, but yeah. Yeah. It's your dog that's always back behind you, or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That is my only dog.
Okay.
My one and only. He's my shadow. He's not here tonight. It needs to get warm outside so I can move the heater and move the bed back over. So when he is down here, you can see him perfectly in frame.
That's right. Sorry, we both have our Christmas trees off.
They're both off because it is not Christmas, but they are
Merry
still
Valentine's
up.
Day.
Yeah, they're still up, but we have the fires going.
We do.
I have the heat off because it's 55. Well, it's like 20 degrees now.
That rain I was talking about is like ice shards just slamming up there now.
Gonna break right through there. And you're just gonna be sitting in.
I'm like, yeah. And my favorite next scene.
My favorite part. Okay, yeah, but when I asked you about because I want to ask you about the alien race, if that was like a thing already, but it's not. Because I was gonna be like the cow, they just pulled the cow out of thin air and it just like hovers in caverns and they milk it. Most bizarre thing, and I would really like to know at what point in this episode Mike texted us all and was like, "Holy crap, this show or whatever." Like, what was it that made him say that in this episode? Because really, that's the other thing that wasn't. There was better moments throughout the series where I was like, "Wow, this show is like incredible." the final episode didn't quite do that for me to that point. I think when they revealed the cow thing, like I was like, wow, like they're really going for it. Maybe when dude broke his leg over the fence, like I think that was like the funniest part of this episode. So maybe that's when Mike texted us and was like, "This episode's crazy."
Well, remember he's a Snyder fan the same way I am with the Justice League, so it's probably.
Oh, you think he was
guess,
finishing it up?
Yeah, I think he was.
See, he was more impressed with that than I was then.
It's for people who really enjoy like Man of Steel and want Henry Cavill back. Yeah, it's like when you see the silhouette of Henry Cavill. Yeah, you're like, okay, so if he has like just some kind of like administrative role and he's not taking part in a whole lot of things, I'm okay with it. Just let me know that he's still there and use him once in a while.
Yep.
There's other Supermen that come into play, and I really think that will happen. And I'm okay with more than one Superman because it's the Kryptonians. They're a whole race of people, right? They just have different power levels, and there are different Earths that they come from, but they're not always Kal-El. It's a different family that survived Krypton, and there's a lot of different things that they can do, running multiple Supermen in parallel without them all being Kal-El. So they're already going to run multiple Bruce Waynes. So the last thing you want to do is deal with other characters.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the fact that had like Zog, Michael Shannon, like that was great. As Zog and Man of Steel.
Zod,
yeah. Because
I will find him. It's so good.
Dude, I love Michael Shannon, but it was so good. And because he was also like equally like charged up by the sun. I just like that he acknowledged that. He was like, oh, I like it here. I see why, like, you've kind of like nestled in here and become a little bitch. Like I am also going to now show you how it's done.
Well, he mastered the idea of being able to use your Kryptonian powers on Earth because he's of tactical mind. He's a military strategist. He's a general, and Kal-El was just a baby, obviously coming here and just had to do it over time and learn as a child. But he was able to. It's just like you pick up a weapon, you feel like you can get the hang of it, and you master it really, really quick. Zod did it. He started knowing what he could do, what he can't do. It's a good movie.
Was that how long is that concept existed, or was that introduced in the movie?
The Kryptonians on Earth within the sun, you mean?
Well, Zog showing up to Earth or Zod showing up to Earth and being like, wow, this is like a cool power I can now have here.
Oh, that's happened a couple of different times. I guess through different iterations. Sometimes he showed up here or showed up on Earth and knew what he was doing. Sometimes it was some stories he had to learn, but Zod really made his basically he became a solid character through being in the two movies that Zod has been in. The Chris Reeve movie and then this one, and then Man of Steel. And they've used him in the comics a few different times. He's actually also been part of the Suicide Squad, believe it or not.
Wow.
Kryptonian explosive put in his head. Which, by the way, in the comics, really, really cool. He's a very almost like a very Black Knight looking armor.
Yeah.
He wears his Kryptonian armor and has like his sigil on it.
Dude, that's so cool. That's so cool that he's in the Suicide Squad because with a Kryptonian bombing, because he is very much not that tier of people.
Right.
He's like essentially a god, but if you were to harness a god and put them amongst the riffraff, it's almost like that like fallen prince kind of like disorder in play, which is always so good. So good.
And I have to look back how they did that, because now I'm kind of curious, because if you put a Kryptonian bomb or a kryptonite bomb inside of his head, the radiation from that would depower him.
Well, so maybe it's like concealed,
encapsulated,
And the idea is like we will unconceal it, and then obviously you're just toast.
That's probably how it is. Yeah, I'm just very curious now.
Dude, I write this stuff. Don't come at me.
You're like,
dude.
I did write it.
I did write it. But I say that because the parallels. I don't know how familiar you are with Dragon Ball.
I'm familiar with most of Z, a little bit of GT, and the original Dragon Ball.
Oh, perfect. So, like the parallels of that
Yamcha
story,
era and Piccolo era.
the parallels of that whole Zod thing, and like when Vegeta comes to Earth and is like, "Holy crap, dude! Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ape out and go hard." Whereas like Goku's like trying to conceal it, hide it. The parallels, I'm very fascinated by the parallels between Superman and Goku and like
Oh
that whole
yeah.
story. The parallels are great, but they're also very different characters in a lot of ways. But I love when people do like mashups of those and like say, who would beat who, and I just
Mhm.
always find that fascinating. So when the whole Zod thing came about, at least on screen in Man of Steel, I was like, dude, this is just like when Vegeta, and like even his brother
Nappa and
came.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
they all
Raditz,
came.
yeah.
Yeah, and they all came and like picked fights with old innocent, Superman / Goku. Like it plays out very similarly. So I always try to figure out like what came first and like the precedence there. Like, did they draw inspiration from that? And who like or
I know. I mean, I can tell you that Goku obviously is very, very heavily influenced by Superman.
right?
Alien kid coming here trying to figure out life
Yeah,
and do whatever, but they just did it in their own terms. And Goku is very much so the same type of Boy Scout that what classic Superman was.
yeah,
But
yeah. Very Boy Scouty.
Superman obviously got a little more angry as time goes on because the public's like, oh, he's too nice. Then when he gets angry, everyone's like, he's too mean. I always say Superman is damned if he does and doesn't.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that like Dragon Ball never assesses is like the political or larger universe fallout. Like at the end of the day, like Goku's just like oblivious and he's just like, I'm gonna be the strongest person ever. Whereas Superman's always kind of like, I am just the strongest person ever, but I have to deal with the fact that I have a secret identity and I have to live amongst like normal people. So I guess that's a little more depth to that character. Whereas like obviously Dragon Ball is a little more just focused on the fighting, the power levels and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Saiyans by nature, when they're defeated, they become stronger.
Yes,
It's like a
it's a trait.
it's not even regenerative. It's just more of a it's just an incline of power. It's kind of cool. It's like Hulk. When Hulk gets angry, it's more and more powerful. But
Yeah, it's like their body or their DNA like learns from the defeat, the
mhm.
near death experience, and it's almost like their DNA, like their pure genetics, like learns from that experience, and it's like when we have near death experiences, we mentally update, change, and there's things that change about us and how we look at the world, but to Saiyans, they physically innately change when they have a near death experience. They like physically become stronger. So it's almost like their biology learns from that near death experience. Whereas like humans, we would just be like mentally traumatized by like,
Yeah,
oh, I have a
crippled
new
and
outlook on life.
feared.
And
Yeah.
yeah, crippled and feared, or it's like, oh, I have a new purpose. I have to like donate all my money and volunteer, whatever it might be. That near death changes you. Sometimes changes you for the worse. But that would be the difference between like Saiyans and humans, I would say.
Yeah, that's good.
Saiyans are such a great concept. This is a Dragon Ball episode. I just realized how much I want to have a Dragon Ball themed episode here on Showboys. We've never had that topic come up because Mike
That is interesting.
Mike hates fun things, and I don't even know if Chad has to have watched Dragon Ball. What's your bet that Chad likes Dragon Ball Z?
That he doesn't.
You bet that he doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't even know if Mike's seen it. So maybe you and I are the only ones that would be down for that kind of topic.
Yep. Did you ever watch? Look, I don't want to stay on Dragon Ball too long, obviously, did you ever watch Dragon Ball Resurrection?
Yes. Yeah. The movie.
I thought that the movie was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Z team, good. Like just defending Earth when Vegeta's like normal guys come out. There was no Yamcha though.
Right.
It's like he knew, he was like, I'm powered out, guys. I can't.
Who's the villain in that?
Frieza.
Frieza comes back. That was the first movie before they did Battle of the Gods.
I didn't see Battle of the Gods.
Oh, okay. Battle of the Gods is weird because I always forget because I just haven't seen it more than once, like the rest of Dragon Ball. But it either overlaps, it somehow overlaps with Super, Dragon Ball Super, if you've seen
Gotcha.
that. Have you
A
seen
little bit.
Super?
I've seen some Super GT. I think if that's something. I think that
Nope.
is something.
No, just Super.
So
There's
it is
GT.
Super. Okay.
There might be a Super GT. They were doing a lot of weird stuff there in the middle ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, guess we'll talk about Peacemaker. That's a good show. I mean, do you have much more to say on Peacemaker? Like, what's your overall
There's a Super
message?
GT. I think for Peacemaker, I think I realized this tonight. Ironically, another hidden, whether it's a writing thing or what, he's trying to make peace for himself over everything. Like it's the whole thing is just him trying to deal with his demons and find peace with it. And it's again, it's the character doesn't have a ton of history, but that is just a very unique take on him. He's using that, and he's pretending like he's trying to give the world peace, but he's just trying to give himself peace.
That is completely true.
Mm-hmm.
Did not even think about that. I mean, I was aware of those elements, but that is a really good way to kind of like summarize that character and the show.
Yeah,
it is him finding peace with it, and it starts off very easy things. That's the same thing with like him being updated on like current state of the world. Like he's just making peace with the fact that her marriage is to a woman, or he can't just show up to a bar, Mac on Carhart or Harcourt, and be like, let's just go hook up. But she's like, can I just have? I love that scene, by the way. It's like, she's like, can I just sit here and like have a beer? Obviously, like douchebags, thank you for like shooing them off, whatever. But now, the person that saved me just is now trying to do the same thing. That was such an annoyance thing that is easily observable in college. So I really liked that scene.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It really, I did like that scene. I actually had a long talk with some of my friends over that because they're like, it's just, it's classic, has the girl power thing, and it is a girl power thing. There's nothing wrong with girl power. There really isn't. I'm a Wonder Woman fan. I don't mind it. Pink Power Ranger is one of my favorite Power Rangers. But the only thing I could have done without is everyone clapping after. I just like, just let it be like a dark scene and let her just handle her situation and let us, see it. But yeah, as they were walking out, there was people like clapping for her and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, totally fine.
That would really,
if there was something I could change, that would be it.
Yeah.
That would be it.
It's realistic because that would happen because people are aware of it. But yeah, I mean, I think
yes, you are very right. Those people would have like just probably shoved them or something. It's just like there was a weird disconnect. It's not that shouldn't happen and it wouldn't happen. It was just I guess from the standpoint of the storytelling, it just didn't fit.
Right. True.
I'm not trying to say don't clap for things like that. It's just it just didn't fit for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe
but overall, but yeah, I mean, but overall, like, that scene just hit really good because it's just like from, you stand back, you observe that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, that is something that is completely not spoken about but very easily identified as like, how is that fair? Like,
right.
There's lots of ways to like spin that, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, she can't just go to a bar and just have a beer.
It felt very Black Widow-ish, but the key difference between her and Black Widow is Black Widow like jumps into a situation like that to try to create that situation most of the time. She uses like her sexuality to like get close to something and manipulate it. Our Harcourt was just to herself.
No interest in it.
Yeah.
She's like trying to like one of the guys have a beer at the bar and like not talk to anyone. Even I can relate to that because there would be times like I would go to the bar, sit there and be like, I really could give a shit less. Like if anyone's trying to make conversation with me, like that's not why I'm here.
Yeah.
Let alone try to get like hit on and picked up. I guess that would be okay too. But at the same time, it's like the reason I'm there is like not to interact with humans, ironically, going to a bar. But
my favorite thing is like if I would go to a bar and I'd sit there just having a whiskey, a girl would come up and start talking to me and she would start hitting on me. But by the end of the conversation, somehow in her mind, she's acting like I came up and talked to her. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like,
I haven't moved.
Yeah. And this happens both ways. What I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
but it in their mind, like the sense of rejection turns into like a weird defensive, like deflection. Like,
Yeah.
knows
It's
I'm
like,
not
it's
interested.
reverse psychology. It's like,
Yeah,
don't you remember, you drunk fool? Like, you were hitting on me.
Then they just kill it with kindness. It's the best thing you can do. When you're
Yeah.
super kind to them, they just hate you that much more.
Yeah.
Maybe I am evil, actually. I don't know. Maybe it's, but I don't know. I like, yeah, I like that scene. It's a good scene.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean,
it's one of those things. It's one of those things that could be super SJW, and they didn't do it.
Right.
They didn't make it happen.
Yeah.
If it was like a CW, that would have been like eye roll central, guarantee it.
Yep. Yeah.
So their storytelling is on point with this stuff.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, they captured the like natural occurrence of that in real life. Because in real life, like you would just kind of look at that and be like, yeah, that is pretty unfortunate. Like, but I'm not gonna jump in there and like fight, like, you know, whatever else would happen that would just be dramatic and over the top. It's like at the end of the day, like it's just it happens. You can't make it not happen. Maybe over a long period of time it will stop happening, but at the end of the day it's not going to stop happening. Just like you said, like it works in reverse order too, and like that's not going to stop happening either.
Sometimes it shows you that some people think other people go to the bar just for that intent, and if they're sitting there like that, it's just an open invitation of that intent. I guess that could depend on the type of bar you go to. But it's, I don't know.
And I think the most recent like shock to me in terms of like how that happens in reverse is this whole Netflix series about the Tinder swindler. My one friend was telling me about. It's this dude on
name. It's like
I know, right?
It's like a Suicide Squad name of a character.
But I think the gist of it is like he would go on Tinder and convince these chicks to give him like hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to him, and he would just swindle them out of he swindled like millions of dollars out of these chicks on Tinder.
What?
And I was like, that is one incredible, like two, why, how, and who, like who are these chicks that are just like dishing out like $250,000 to a random dude on Tinder? I haven't watched the series. My one friend said to watch it. But I was like, just in my mind, like that would happen in reverse order. Like usually I feel it would be like the guy getting swindled out of like a bunch of money, but it happens both ways. And he has a cool superhero name or a Suicide Squad name for it too, like the Tinder swindler. And that it's probably somebody that Vigilante would look at and be like, should I kill you?
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing about Vigilante is because he has that weird thought process where like he would just look at you and be like, the gears would be turning. He's like processing like, should I kill you?
Yeah, they created a very lovable character that I would not sleep in the same room with.
Yeah, because like you could do the one wrong thing that sets off like a 20-minute thought process in that dude's brain, and then finally 20 minutes later he's like, yep, pop.
Right.
Yeah, that dude's insane.
His machete fight scene, my God, that was so good.
In the last episode, yeah. Harcourt's got like the gun. Even Peacemaker rolls in with the Scar or some sort of submachine gun and just like laying waste to people.
P90,
yeah, and he's just. But then there's Vigilante, and he's just like, just like slicing people, and that's once again he's like the blue Deadpool, like sword play, like tossing the knives.
Yep.
Kill that dude.
He was like dual wielding 9mm, and once the magazines were out, he's like, okay, fun time, shing. Yeah. Man.
That's how you kill the butterflies too, like sword to the like skull.
Right.
Like the one cop, the one detective, like he just got straight.
I forget his name, but man, I love that actor.
Yeah, he's good.
He was in a movie called Student Body, or not Student Bodies. It might have been Student Bodies.
He's kind of like
Zach from Saved by the Bell's in it, and they're trying to kill a roommate so that they get like their passing grades in high school. They're trying to get the roommate to commit suicide. It's so horrible. So they're like interviewing these roommates that have like horrible lives, and that guy is one of the candidates for him. It's
He's
yeah.
kind of like an off-brand Kyle Chandler,
In a,
like
in
from
a
Friday
way.
Night Lights. Like
Yeah.
that's what his physique and like appearance and even like demeanor remind me of. Like he's kind of like a knockoff Kyle Chandler.
In Student Bodies, I think he's like a football star guy or something. But he's like just very big, like muscle bound dude, and he's got like the like the mid 2000 or the early 2000s like slicked up front, like off the, and he's got like he might have had like pop collars. I don't know. No, he didn't have that, but a collared shirt and everything. But he's driving and he's like speeding down the road and he's like drinking beers while driving. They're like, "Whoa, man, slow down, slow down!" And then police sirens come on behind him, and they're like, "Oh, there's cops behind us. We got to stop." And he's like, "Oh, I'll take care of them. Take the wheel." And he pulls out like a Uzi and just leans out the window and starts shooting at him. They're like, "Ah!" It's so good.
That's ridiculous.
So good. Yeah, but this, I mean, a season 2 of the show. There's so much you can do. You have the dad haunting him now.
Yep.
You have all
that seems like a threat.
Oh,
it seems like a problem.
It's a I mean, yeah, they could do so many things with Vigilante, good and bad. Like where did he jump out to? Where's he going?
Yep.
Like,
hey, it's just going back to the trailer. They're gonna go blow up some stuff. Weren't they blowing up stuff at the end though?
Oh, they were. You're right. Yeah, they got back to the same old. But there's a whole idea Batmite could exist, which you can get into interdimensional stuff. I think that we'll see a jetpack eventually, which is one of his key utilities when he was early in comics. And it is kind of strange. It's hard to see him go back to the Suicide Squad after this.
Right.
Like what's going to happen to the Suicide Squad now that's been outed? Maybe it'll become more legit or something. I don't know.
So
they'll
that's
call
where
it Task Force X or something like that.
When you said that Peacemaker was, leader of the Suicide Squad, I connect that with the fact that it's public knowledge now that this is a thing. Suicide Squad needs to obviously become more legit, like you just said. So maybe this is how he becomes like the leader of it, because once again, Peacemaker isn't necessarily the kind of person that's like, he's not going to venture out and do something kind of drastically different than what he's used to. He's going to still stick to his roots. At the end of the episode, he's sitting on the porch, drinking his beer,
right.
His haunted father, the butterfly and Eagly, just like hanging out. He's not going to do anything too drastic, like join the Justice League.
That won't happen.
So I could see that where, basically they work him into being the leader of the Suicide Squad. Because what does he know? He knows the Suicide Squad. And he's like, well, they're a thing now. They're more legit. I'm like the leader of it, because he was involved in obviously a show, but through the story, they could kind of position as like he's a little bit more seasoned in terms of like having a code of honor, a narrative, a moral direction, and he could help guide, craft this, group of otherwise just criminals in a more useful direction, because Waller is going to have to somehow explain her way through this, political nightmare that she just got dumped in by her daughter.
Right.
And she's the kind of mind of person that would flip it and be like, well, yeah, duh, it's been a thing. Like, we just didn't tell no one. It's very legit. Here's all the paperwork. So I could see it going that way. And that's where we eventually end up, maybe like end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that journey. Would Vigilante be part of this Suicide Squad?
He could technically, now that they know that he's a villain, or not, or he's created, or not a villain, but a criminal. So it could happen. I don't. If I was them, I wouldn't recommend doing that with the character. But there's a couple other characters. Like there's one character called Gunhawk. I could see him showing up. He's just got it. He's just literally, he's ex-military, has guns hidden throughout the whole city. Very Punisher-ish again. There's a lot of different characters I can see doing this, but I think, and you should go back and watch the Suicide Squad. The last one that just came out. Just take the time and do it. You'll like King Shark. King Shark's a really fun character.
Is Jared Leto in it as a Joker?
He's not.
Oh, it's not worth watching then. Best Joker of all time. You proved it.
I did. But there's Bloodsport is the character. He takes the place of Deadshot, basically. And the recent Suicide Squad comic kind of goes into his character a little bit more. And throughout the movie, this kind of explains that he's got a crazy arsenal of weapons. And in the comics, he basically has this like micro technology that pulls in weapons from different dimensions. So you'll see him like bring his arms up like this with nothing there, and a giant cannon just forms in his arms. And he's holding it, he fires it, right? And it's got like really crazy ammo, all this stuff. And they don't really explain it how he does it in the movie, but the comics go into that way, and you're like, oh, maybe this is what's happening. And that could be that type of stuff is where they could start jumping through different Earths. Maybe see Pattinson's Batman somehow cross over with it. And the sky's the limit. So,
speaking of Pattinson, I was gonna link this, but I didn't want people to make fun of me. But it's like a really good GQ article cover story on Pattinson because they're rolling out all the Batman media right now.
It's hilarious.
But it is a huge GQ article that goes into Pattinson, and it scrolls forever, and there's pictures of him forever, and that dude is just so interesting. Because they make a good point that he, in an otherwise possibly like career just like hole he could have like shot into with like Twilight being his breakout, like easily he could have just been like cast into like a cone of just like I'm stuck.
Right.
But through like a series of like weird, crafty, artsy roles that just weren't, popular or just like in that vein, he's like reinvented himself as, a very legitimate actor that can like, is really good. And then now he is playing the Batman. Right. So it's a pretty cool article. I'll link it in our Discord. Shout out. Join our Discord. And it's worth a read. It's pretty well written. It's one of those kind of like interview, but like adds all the like he was sitting there with his like hair swooshing in the wind, kind of like write-ups, So
he'll be a very unique Batman. He knows. He trolls people in interviews. He trolls the fans, talking about not going to work out and how Batman's like a shitty superhero. And he knows that Batman has these serious issues and he's not right in the head. And he knows that he's not the best hero, especially as a young Batman who's very angry and, creating the name of vengeance and scaring criminals to a manner by beating them to a bloody pulp. Less theatrics and more just beating you down,
Violence.
I will say in the preview, Falcone is walking. He's like, you think that Cal and Cape are going to scare me? Like, it's cool seeing the established criminal underground isn't scared of the theatrics. They see it as exactly that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great movie. I have high hopes.
That comes out shortly after my birthday. I'm considering going to see that in IMAX up in Crocker Park.
Nice.
I think it might be warranted. And I came to that conclusion like days after saying how much I don't like watching movies. But it's like, but certain movies, man, they just warrant it.
The Batmobile is just, I don't know if you read books a whole lot or anything or listen to audiobooks, but there's actually there's a prequel novel that came out. It talks about this iteration of the Batman and what he was like before he became the Batman, and it goes into his first year as Batman. And he's so Pattinson's Batman's been building that car since he was like 16 years old.
Ooh, that's rowdy.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
he never wanted to go out and buy one. He wanted to just build it and just keep upgrading it, and that became the Batmobile over time.
That is so much character building right there just by saying that.
Yeah.
That says so much about his character because you can you put so much frame of reference, but like a 16-year-old building this like rad old school rebuild of a car.
Yep.
Who becomes a superhero.
Yeah. It's gonna be a whole other level, man. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yep. Gonna have to see that in IMAX. It has to happen.
I'm ready.
Anyway.
I'm ready.
Anyway. Yeah. I mean, I think I've mostly covered everything I really wanted to cover about Peacemaker.
Yeah.
I do appreciate all your very insightful outlook on all the details there, all the characters. I definitely learned a lot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, I learned a ton. I mean, it's not hard. I don't know anything about this stuff, but maybe that's a good frame of reference. I like to think that is in these kind of situations where it's like I legitimately didn't know any of that, and also I just like how they redid a lot of the characters, or they even merged like the White Dragon and his dad into like the same thing.
Yeah.
And just kind of rearranged the set pieces, but still made it a very good and kind of true to character story. I even like the fact that you could still posturize that Vigilante becomes the DA in some weird twisted storyline. Yeah. Like they didn't like hard write off in a lot of things that you were mentioning about the comics, and I think that's very crafty storytelling. Because at the end of the day, like this series, just the fact that you said that the aliens weren't even pre-existing, like they just really kind of set stage of like, hey, this could be a throwaway series thing that maybe just doesn't stick, and like James Gunn's just like, you know what, it might not work out, it might suck, and no one likes it, so let's just keep it all packaged up. But from here being like pretty successful, I would say Peacemaker, because I've already talked to a few other people that just really love it outside of like our little group here. I think that's important in saying that, like, you know what, second season, let's branch out a bit, let's get a little more
fifth dimensional.
I was gonna say like multiverse, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. But the Flash movie is supposed to be all about all that jazz.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I wouldn't be excited at all if I didn't know Keaton was in it. So,
oh, he is.
Yeah.
In the Flash movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget. I forget everything that comes out before the movies.
All right. Yeah. He'll be Batman again, and he'll also be Batman, I think, in the Batgirl movie that's coming out.
Nice.
So he'll probably travel to the Snyderverse Earth, and whatever happens to Ben Affleck's Batman, why he's not there anymore, Keaton will be there.
Nice.
It's crazy, man.
Let it be crazy.
I'm
there for it.
Yeah. That's actually going to be only on HBO Max, and I think there's a scene that was filmed where he's driving his '89 Batmobile. I'm going to be pissed off if I don't get to see that in the theater.
You better go see it in the theater then.
Well, I mean, I would say I think it's only an HBO release. So if he doesn't drive that in the Flashpoint movie, I'll be like, no.
They might change that rule. They've been pretty fluid with that. Disney's like starting to re-release their movies back into theaters.
That's true
as well. So
that's true.
I think people might start to do that, because I mean there is a little bit of a niche for like movies that should be seen in theaters that couldn't have been and didn't, just for whatever, either COVID or just them being like, you know what, we just won't because we don't need to, because streaming's good enough. But there's definitely a market, like just because you've seen a movie, like there's still the movies that I was like, you know what, I want to go rewatch that in theaters. Like I wish I would have seen that in theaters. So if they can get the right data there, I feel like there's a slight market for certain movies to be actually put back in the theaters. Especially now, I feel like now that streaming, it's also accessible. You could put things back in the theaters after they've been released, because then there's that market of people that knows, like, you know what, I want to rewatch that, but I don't want to just rewatch it on streaming. I want to rewatch it in the theater.
I can tell you, I would go see some Peacemaker episodes in theater. That'd be fun. Fun to see on the big screen.
Oh, what would you do? Like 2 or 3 of those at a time?
I mean, you could. I mean, it depends. Theaters could release, like, just dedicate one theater to, like, you know, one of the episodes of a season every, like, bi-weekly or once a month. I don't know.
It's an idea. Let's pitch it to Tinseltown. See if they latch on to it.
Yeah.
That parking lot's been packed lately. They've been busy. Oh,
Has it really?
There's always at least like a pretty normal lot full. I don't venture out into that area on like Friday nights or Saturday nights, which I imagine has to get back to like pre-pandemic levels of lot fullness. So I think they're doing fine. People are back right on time.
Yep, it's coming
Right
real
for
close.
March. Coming real close to March. But cool. You got nothing else? We can wrap it here.
I think we're good.
At a clean almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty solid coverage here. Anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. Definitely check out our link tree. Check out our YouTube page. Please subscribe if you haven't. I know there's a lot of lurking viewers that aren't subscribed. The YouTube statistics tell me this. There are many viewers that are not subscribed. Please subscribe. Definitely join our Discord. We're always so chatty in there. Mike's usually the main culprit. He's always running about, stirring up conversation. But there's plenty others in there that are regulars. Other than that, check out our Pokemon episode coming next week. It'll be Mike and some friends basically talking about Pokemon. Check out our Showboys Gaming YouTube page. It's okay. It's been a little slow lately. Chad and Mike have been on a break, and I'm just very inconsistent. But when I do post, it gets the views. You know, I'm not gonna pat myself too hard on the back there. But other than that, I think that's all I have. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Definitely become a patron, because the more patrons we have, the more stuff that me and Jordan will talk about. But we require patrons to talk about certain topics. And if you dip into our Discord, you can find some of those topics we might talk about, but we refuse to talk about them until we have more patrons. So I'm going to force you to sign up to our Patreon. I'm not going to beg you. I'm going to force you. Mike begs.
Force you to use your own free will.
I force you to use your free will to sign up for our Patreon. Could always just Venmo us too at Showboys. So we take free donations too as well.
It's a digital image behind Nick. He doesn't even have a roof over his head.
I literally side of the highway in Akron right now. Just exit 49B. Come find me.
That's funny.
It's really raining right now. There's just like a tin roof over me, and I have really good microphone. It drowns out all the background noise. And Jordan, he's actually in a home right now, though. He has a nice warm roof over his head.
Unsubscribed.
Anyway, you all have a great evening. I am going to play us, I guess, Peacemaker. Do we want to go out to Peacemaker?
I want to taste it.
Okay. Do you really want to taste it? Do you really want to? Okay. Dude, it's so good.
It's amazing. And I really want to get a 44 Magnum Desert Eagle and I need to fire one of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I fired a lot of guns, but I've never fired one of those.
I've seen one. I've seen them fired. I've never personally fired one. But dude, yeah. I mean, that is so repeatable, watchable. I wonder if I'll ever return to the series as a rewatch. I might. It's just so fun. I might need to.
And will they keep it during season 2?
Ooh. New song, new dance.